The time I almost died. So this is when way back in like I think 2015, 2016. No, maybe yeah, 2015, 2016. I was in 5th grade and I had basketball. I had a basketball game. I didn't really feel good for like the past week. So I was not feeling it really. So I didn't really play basketball that much, but I decided to just, you know, just play along, and my stomach kept hurting in the middle. I felt this pain. I didn't know what was going on, but anyway, the point is, a few weeks later, I think like 2 weeks or a week, I get sick. I get really bad stomach pain, and I start throwing up. At first, it was like regular throw up, not much, but like it started getting so bad that like my stomach couldn't throw up anything. So I was just throwing up nothing, and my stomach was just like, it was trying to warn me about something, I guess. But anyway, that's what happened, and so 4 days pass, still sick, and I like couldn't sleep for like the past 3 days. I finally slept the first day. Couldn't sleep that much, and I just like I was not at school. I didn't feel good at all. I was terribly sick. I go to the bathroom every 2 minutes or like 5 minutes. I don't know. But day 4 was very bad. It was so I woke up, right? And I finally get to sleep for like a little bit. But I take a nap. I wake up to the Price is Right TV show because my dad watched it. I was sleeping on the couch in case I got sick, and still not feeling well at all. But then I feel a lot better, like suddenly. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go get some water. So I go get some water from the kitchen. I drunk that whole thing, and I was still thirsty. So time passes. Like 5 minutes later, I'm like, okay, my waist hurts really bad. Like if you like pull a like a muscle in your stomach in the lower abdomen area, that's how it felt. But then it just like I was like, ooh, my stomach hurts so bad now. Like it was just muscle. I felt like I was getting stabbed. But then I go to the bathroom and I'm just like crying my eyes out because I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm like jumping up and down, nothing's working, slouching over. I was literally at the point where I'm like rubbing my area, like my where my bladder is, rubbing it, and I couldn't feel better. So I tried to take a shower because that's how I kind of coped with pain, and it was so excruciating pain that I just like screamed so loud. And my mom was like, "Hey, do you need me to make you a doctor's appointment, or do you need to go to the emergency room?" I'm like, "Well, I need a doctor's appointment because I was terrified of the emergency room. I was, because like a few years back I went to the dentist and it was terrible. But that's a different story time. But anyway, we're getting off topic. I go and I just try to cope with the pain. Nothing works. Antibiotics won't work, and my mom's like, okay, we gotta go to the emergency room. I was like, no, I'm fine. And then she goes like, no, we gotta go. And then after a few moments, I'm like, okay, let's go. So I'm at the point where she had to dress me, and she had to carry me out to the car, cause that's how bad it was. So then we are in the car, and then the bumps on the road are just terrible, and I'm crying my eyes out still. We go over bumps. We go to the hospital. Like it was terrible, but we're at the hospital, and we just Like I'm slouched over, and I said, Mom, I can walk a little bit now. So I just like run a little bit, like kind of jog, slouched over, looking like a freaking zombie, and going up to the doors, and then I had to wait there for like 10 minutes. And then, so the doctors came in, and they take me in, they say like what my pain is. It's like the abdomen area, like my like stomach. I've been throwing up and everything. So then they ran a few tests and crap. They took me to, and then they took me to that the area where you find babies. I don't know the gooey stuff, but they take that, and turns out that my appendix was about to explode in my stomach. It was full of stomach acid. The stomach acid was leaking out, and it was burning my insides, and it was about to explode. So they run me into the room. They're like, "Yeah, your son has appendicitis." And like as they were doing the gooey stuff, he pushed down, and then he said, "Does that hurt?" And I'm like, "Oh!" I screamed because it hurt so bad when he did that. But anyway, so they ran me into that room on the bed. They like, they did that speed run with the bed. They take me all the way to the surgery room, and then they explain to my parents like, "Hey, your son has appendicitis. We have to get it out right now, or he's gonna, die." I didn't know that at the time, but my mom was crying. My dad was like a little scared, trying to comfort mom. And I was just terrified because I was like, "Mom, why are you crying?" And then she just wouldn't tell me. She shook her head. And then I was like, I was scared because I didn't want to see her cry because I didn't know what was going on. So then the doctor said, "Okay, we got to put you in surgery." There, he's telling all the surgery. And I'm like, "Okay, when are we going to do that?" And he goes like, "Oh, we have to do it now." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So they take me into the surgery room. They hook me up with IVs. I see my mom in the window. She's crying still. And then, like I say, I love you before we go in the surgery room. And then they say it back. But then they do the surgery, and then I wake up in the hospital bed, and they freaking they took pictures while they were trying to take it out. They took pictures of my appendix. It looked terrible. It's pretty bad. I think on my old videos I showed my appendix pictures, but anyway, it was terrible. Like one of the worst years ever. But so I had scars, I had stitches on my belly button and below my waist and right on my bladder because they went around my bladder. And this is a really long story, but sit tight with me. Okay, so as I'm in there, I had like a fever, like it was terrible. I kept wanting ice water because my head was burning, everything just hurt. And I was just sitting in that hospital bed. I stayed in there for 3 weeks. 3 full weeks. And it was pretty bad. But anyway, during the 3 weeks, like at midnight, I couldn't, they always woke me up at like 3 a.m., taking my blood and stuff. I wouldn't eat anything, so they hooked me up to an IV tube, a feeding tube. It was okay at first, I was like, "Hey, I gotta sit in the hospital bed while my friends are at school." I felt so much better. I didn't puke. I was feeling better. And yeah, those were the 3 weeks. And I was basically just done with the hospital. I was like, "Okay, I want to get out of here." So then, after the 3 weeks though, I had to walk around the hospital because I sat there, I laid there for 3 weeks. I missed my last game of basketball, and yeah, I couldn't because it was the last game. I think we won, but anyway, I was kind of mad about it because I wanted to play in my last game, but it was okay. I was like, okay, I'm alive and crap. But then, as I'm going to this one doctor's office, because I had to go there often, I could finally go home, by the way. I had to go to the freaking doctor's office out every now and then, and it was alright at first. But then he ran some tests now and then, took my blood and stuff. But then the second day I went, they did all these tests and stuff and figures out that they had to get the stomach acid and all that infection out of there. So I was like, oh my. And I didn't know what they were doing. My mom was like, I was sitting on the bed, and my mom was like, okay, don't, just look forward, just look up. I'm like, okay. Thanks for telling me that, because I was okay at first until she said that. And I felt the shot they gave me. I felt that. I was like, ooh. And then they had to cut me open, cut the stitches all the way open, and stuff cotton in there to soak up the crap. Like a foot-long cotton strip. And it was so painful. And he said, okay, we have to do this for 3 weeks. We have to do this for 3 full weeks, every day. Or no, I think it was like 2 weeks, every day. And I was scared, because they had to do that every day. And I had to lay face up, because I couldn't do anything, because I had a hole in me. And so my mom had to take out the cotton and put more in every day. It was terrible. And if you go to school with me, you can ask her. It was like one of the worst moments, because no mom wants to see her son in pain, especially that much pain. But anyway, so after the 2 weeks are up, I was like so happy. So we went to the doctor's office, and I was okay. And then I went home. It was just a normal day. And then I went to breakfast with my dad. We ate sausage biscuits. And then I put my hand down. I feel something wet. Well, oh, by the way, they patched me up with like bandages and stuff, and they sent me home. And they took my blood too, which I didn't get the test back. And then they were like, then I felt something wet on my belly button. I reached down and I lift my shirt up, and it's the freaking stomach acid leaking out. Like, I don't know. No, it was a bad, like, infection fluid pouring out of me. And I was terrified. It's like, I didn't know what to do. So my dad got me napkins, and I was holding it. I got scared at first, but I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to go back, don't I? And then, so I had to go back, and oh wait, yeah, I kind of got it mixed up. They did this before, I had this problem before I got all that cotton stuff. So yeah, my dad, I reached down, stomach acid was pouring out of my stitches, so I went to the hospital and they put cotton in me for 2 weeks. And then they took my blood. So I was like, okay, well, now that that's over, I go home. Okay, now we're on track. I go home, I eat yogurt, and I'm so happy that I'm done with all this. And then my results came back, and there was something wrong. There's something in my blood that was wrong. So I had to go all the way back to the hospital. They said, okay, I had to be in the hospital bed. This nurse kept stabbing me with an IV, and then she couldn't get in the vein, so it took 7 tries to get it into my vein, and it was so hard to do, and it was so painful too. And so as I'm like in bed, they come back with the results, and turns out I have to go all the way to across the state to go in the hospital. Pretty much, it's not really across the state, but like it's 30 minutes away. I had to go on a highway. They had to take me. They were gonna fly me in a helicopter, but my blood was okay enough to ride there. And so we get to the Columbia Hospital, and Women's and Children Hospital. We go, and the same old. They had a PlayStation 3. They had movies. They had good food. Well, that's what my mom said. I didn't eat, so it was alright. And then I had to get a tube in me, or I would just like get caught in like wiping it down every once in a while. And they did like a test thing, I don't know, and turns out that I have to get a tube stuck in me. So this is a cool part. They took me all the way into the surgery room. And then they hooked me up with all this stuff. And then she said, okay, this is the medicine. She's explaining the medicine, anesthesia, whatever. And she puts it in my IV. And then she said, okay, you might taste copper. And I'm like, what? Because I was tired. It was early in the morning. And I was kind of mad that I had to get a tube, because it's a tube. And it had to go all the way around my bladder to get to the spot where my appendix was. But then I taste this it tasted like pennies in the back of my throat, which is copper. And I was like, ugh. I felt like I was gonna gag, pretty much. And then I just start looking up at the ceiling, and I just zoned out. I was completely zoned out. And there's fish on the wall, and like I just stared at this one fish, and I just kept staring. And then I don't remember anything, to be honest. And then I woke up, and everything was just off. My vision was blurry. I felt like I was like looking, like, if you're in a hole, like a tunnel, and you look forward and you see the outside, that's pretty much how it was, to be honest. And then it was all blurry. I was like, Mom, I can't see, because she was right by my side. And they were taking me back to the room, the hospital room. And I was laughing and stuff, because I was high on the crap. And I was like, it was crazy, because like I never experienced anything like that. So I'm in there, and my aunt comes. She gets me a lot of stuff, and my friends come, by the way. Shout out to them. My friends come. They get me. My friend Carson gets me a Nerf gun, or was that Tyler? I don't know. But one of them gave me a Nerf gun. Thank you for that. And it was an awesome time, to be honest. But we're going way back before that. But my aunt comes, and she gives me candy, 2 bags of candy, and a crossbow, that for when I get better. And I didn't eat the candy at all, because my dad ate some, and then I just didn't feel like eating any, to be honest. So as I'm in the hospital room, my aunt's still there, and I start to get my conscience back, start to like regain focus, and I feel a little better. But I'm still loopy, And my mom recorded a video of me talking about the Krusty Krab and how good their food is. And I was like, what? I don't remember saying that. And it was like like, it was a video of me just being weird, okay? And I was just high. Didn't know where I was. Didn't know what I was doing. Like, I could taste the Krabby Patty, too. Because I remember some of it. And it was just weird. I was in the Krusty Krab, and my mom recorded it so I can see it later. I think she still has the videos. If you guys want to see it, tell me in the comments. And so, you know, it was just typical. Just stay in the room. They had to drain my tube bag, because the tube was connected to a bag, and the stomach acid was pouring in it, and it was hot. It was hot. And it was just, it stunk too. It was terrible. And so I like, after like 3 days of like watching movies, sitting there, getting fed through an IV tube, I go and I like, you know, I saw the Minions movie like 700 times that day or something. And I had fun, to be honest, at that hospital. A lot of good people that cared. And yeah. And my aunt worked at the hospital I was before, and she would check up on me. But anyway, so I'm home. I'm okay. I'm so glad to be home. And my mom has to, like, I was just sitting with only a shirt on. I only had a shirt, like a long shirt on, and no pants or no underwear, because I was like aching down there. I mean, pretty much a gown, because I was in a gown for like 4 weeks. And I went home. I played GTA with my friends. Ninja Dog, he's an OG friend. But and I was like happy to be home. But my mom had to, you know, drain out the tube. And there was one night where she said that she just kept smelling it and she just threw up. But anyway, yeah, it was terrible. Stomach acid and stomach infection. It was bad. And then it started slowly draining the bag, and it was draining out of me. I was better. So it was time to get the tube out. And it was just bad. Because, like, I had anxiety going there. I sat on the hospital bed. The doctor came in, did some tests, left, came in, back in, did some tests, and then was gone for a really long time. So it sat me in complete scared, like, scary feeling, anxiety, everything I felt. I was literally just so scared, because I knew the tube was going to come out of me. So then 3 doctors come in the room. They're like talking to me, and they're like, okay, this is gonna hurt just a little bit. You're gonna feel a bit of pressure, because when doctors say you're gonna feel a little bit of pressure, they mean it's gonna freaking hurt. It's gonna literally be a kick in the nuts for you. Just saying. And so 2 doctors like hold me down, and my mom like hugs me and kisses my forehead, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. So he slowly pulls it out. I felt it slide against my bladder, and then he just pulls real hard. And then I felt like because it was connected to tape too, so it was pulling my hairs. And you know how that feels down there. And I was like, oh, I was screaming. And then he pulled it, and I felt it go past my bladder, and I felt it come out of me, dude. It was terrible. And I was crying for a bit, and then I was like, okay. I was relieved. And I got to go home. We got IHOP, and then I was so happy. And I look out the window to the hospital to see all the good memories there. Then I go home, and everything was a-okay. So, like, I was aching for a few days, yeah. Had to regain my muscle and stuff. But everything was okay after that, to be honest. And when it turned my birthday, um, the all the doctors that helped me, like my aunt and all them at the Moberly Hospital, they did a video saying happy birthday, which was very heartwarming. And then, like 2 weeks later, I think, or a week, I go back to school. And a little pressure on me. I walk into my class and everyone's happy I'm back. And I got a signed paper from every kid in the classroom saying like glad you're better, like get well and stuff like that. And it was very heartwarming. I loved it. And I'm glad people, my friends and family, I give full respect to them for caring for me, because I literally almost died. Now, if I waited for the doctor's appointment that day, I probably wouldn't be here recording this video right now. If we just waited for the doctor's office. So instead of going to the emergency room. But anyway, guys, if you like the story time, if you want more story times without me stuttering, because this is kind of my first one, and like and sub, and I'll love to do more of these because I kind of like it. See you later and peace out. Bye.